course, which was originally an online course, but now it's a hybrid course. And I became involved in STEM projects in 2012 when I was approached by a group of students, engineering students, who had the desire to want to work on actual projects. So they started a club and invited their friends, and it became a very active club. And it did receive some funding in terms of helping to support some of the projects from a previous grant that we had to enhance STEM education. But it turned out that these students were working really hard on their project, and they really weren't getting any official credit. We couldn't offer course credit for the things they were doing, and we couldn't put anything on their transcript to indicate they had really done some pretty quality, decent research. So when we applied for a new grant, which is called the STEMatics grant, one of the things we wrote into that STEMatics grant is that one of the 11 activities for it was to form a STEM Student Scholars Program, which you have been invited to be a part of. And yeah, you can think of it as an honor society, but there's a lot more activity than just saying, oh, you're honored by being in it. It's actually a call to activity, a call for you to do research and become more involved in some of the activities of the club, but also in enhancing your academics beyond what you may be getting an honor for. So it's called the STEM Student Scholars Program, and you're the third group we're inviting to join. And this is the third year of the grant. The STEMatics grant is in its third year. It's a $5.3 million grant. There are 11 different activities. Only one of the activities is to found and get started this STEM Student Scholars Program. Other activities include tutoring enhancement, the entire in-class supplemental instruction program. There's lots of other activities as well. But let me not get onto those other activities. Let's focus on what we came here for. Educators, those that study, what makes a good employee, what makes a good student. Educators who study education and what makes a person ready to have a job or a career in the 1950s came up with three things that are going to basically determine if you're going to be successful at work. And that's what's your knowledge, what skills you have, and originally what was your attitude. But in the 1970s, the Navy took that attitude part and turned it into ability. Because they said, what good is an attitude if you can't do anything with it, with your knowledge and your skills? So basically, look, when you take classes, you take a physics class, you take a chemistry class, you're building your knowledge. You're learning the laws of physics. You're learning the rules of chemistry. You're learning the rules of biology. And if you have a lab component to those science classes, or you're doing a manufacturing class, you're going to learn how to use the equipment of the manufacturing lab. You're going to learn how to use laboratory equipment in the biology lab. You'll learn how to use the equipment in the physics lab. You'll learn how to take data. You'll learn how to do an error analysis. Those are skills. Okay, but usually in a community college, it stops at that level. You just get knowledge and skills. But now, employers are looking for, what's your ability? Can you synthesize those first two things into a bigger, coherent product or project? And the disadvantage every community college student has been in is that there's usually no opportunity at the community college level for you to demonstrate or enhance your abilities or learn abilities. The four-year colleges have that advantage because usually they have a graduate program, they'll have research labs where professors are doing research and publishing, they'll have students working for them, and you get in that first or second year, you might actually start doing an internship at one of those labs, get to know the professor, you're already doing research in your first 2 years. Community college, that's not the case. Community college is a teaching school, so you don't have that. So in this new grant, we said, okay, that is one of the disadvantages of community college. We want to give community college students the ability to work on abilities, basically to be able to do research like a four-year college would. Because we have a lot of professors here that desire to do research. This is primarily a teaching school, but a lot of professors want to do research. They want to work on projects as well. So the grant helps give release time for those professors to do that. It gives monies to pay the students to do these research, etc. And so the idea is that when it comes time for you to transfer to a four-year college, or to look for an all-campus internship, or get a scholarship, you can not only ask your professor to write about how great you were in their classroom, what your knowledge and your skills were, but now they can also talk about the great research you did. And that goes a hell of a lot more to getting you that scholarship, getting you into the better school, getting you on board in a career. Okay, so that's the idea. The whole project, this thing called the STEM Student Scholars Program, is to really enhance your knowledge and your skills beyond what you're going to get within a classroom, but also to develop your abilities. Get you to work on a project so you see the bigger picture and you apply what you learn in the classroom to some research. There's 3 aspects to this STEM Student Scholarship Program. I'll talk about each of them. One, of course, is academics. By me being involved and other professors being involved in the STEM Club, we've kept in communication with students that have graduated, and we learn that when they go to NJIT or Rutgers, our classes are deficient in certain things. So we don't want that to happen to you when you transfer, so we've developed mini courses. That's the academic aspect. We're going to require you to take 2 mini courses. You'll have a choice, but it's going to enhance your academic education here. That way you won't be so much at a disadvantage when you actually transfer to the 4-year school. And then, of course, you're going to have a research ability here. In your first summer in our program, you're going to have a paid internship on campus. And if available, on the 2nd year of your internship in the summer, you'll have a paid off-campus internship. And then the third thing is service. It's not all about you in this program. We want you to share your knowledge, skills, and ability with a student that might be struggling in a remedial math like MAT 048 that are claiming they want to go into STEM. We want to enhance the number of STEM students at Bergen, and we need you to help us help them so that they don't quit. So we're going to ask you to become a mentor to a few students. You'll be paired up with a student. It's not your job to tutor them. It's just to guide them. A lot of the newer students that come in here, they don't even know there's a tutoring center. So you're going to sort of be an advisor to them so they know where to go. And it's usually going to be a student that's either in an MAT 048 class or 160 class, because those 2 classes are the make or break classes for whether you're really going to get into STEM or not. Students have the most difficult time trying to get through those 2 before they can actually claim that they're in an engineering program or a biology or chemistry or whatever else program it is. All right, now what do you get out of it? What you're going to get out of it is a paid internship in the first summer and the second summer. If not off campus, you'll get one on campus. And then a really nice thing that we managed to work out with the bureaucracy here is to have finally the official recognition on your transcript, stamped onto it that you're a STEM student scholar. And initially that wasn't really known among other colleges, but now other colleges know about it. And we've had now a couple groups actually have that designation, that notation on your official transcript. All right, now you're here, and why are you here? Criteria was set. I'll talk about how the criteria was set a little bit later on, but this was the criteria for why you got an email inviting you here. You had to have declared that you want to major in some kind of STEM field. You had to have a minimum of 3.6 GPA. No more remediation. You're done with all those remedial English and math classes. You had to have at least completed 12 college level credits, right? Above any remediation that you may have needed. And then you had to have at least taken one of the 100 level science or STEM classes or manufacturing class or information technology classes, including the MAT 160s kind of thing. You can't have sneaked through with a nice GPA taking those humanities classes, which aren't real classes, right? We all know those aren't real classes. So those are the easy ones. You might have snuck in with that 3.6, but you really didn't take a real science class. So you got to get a real biology, real chemistry class. At least one 100 class has to be among those 12. And then you have to be an active student all the way through this fall. We want you to at least get through the summer internship and then one semester in the fall, because we want you to be able to take those 2 mini course requirements. A minimum of 2 mini courses we want you to take to enhance your academics, and that's only going to happen if you stay with us through the fall. All right, well, how elite are you? You are an elite group. Let's see how elite. So you got 2,371 students that claim they're going to get a STEM degree from Bergen Community College right now. How many of those actually had the criteria that I listed on the previous slide, the 3.6 GPA? They had 12 credits done, they've done remediation. Only 192. Only 192. So there were 192 emails that went out from Lewis asking you, hey, congratulations, come on down, sign up for an information session. Of the 192 that got that email, how many do you think responded? 90? You'd think that high. Only 67, less than a third. That's the response rate. That's the first weeding out process for you guys. If you don't respond to Bergen email, we don't want you in the organization. It's as simple as that. If you think Bergen email is all junk and not worth reading, we don't want you here. So we just got rid of, what, 66% of all the people that were qualified to be in this organization because they're unresponsive. They don't check their Bergen email because it's all junk to them. From now on, the email from Bergen is not junk. You're going to have to check it and see what's important and what's not important from this point forward. But that's the first weeding out process. The second weeding out process is for you to actually be here today, right? Now, what percent is that 67 of the 2,371 students who claim that they're getting their STEM majors? It turns out that you're not the top 10%. You're not the top 5%. You're the top 2.8%. So you're the creme de la creme, right? That's pretty darn good. Now, how many will actually get through the program of that 67? I'm going to guesstimate. This time, probably big. Maybe 30, 33 this time around. Look, the organization has grown. The grant has been written to support at any one given time 50 students. So the solicitation gets larger and larger, and we also retain some from the previous year. It's really a 2-year process if you get to us that first year. So we do have, that leaves some room to allow for an amount of 50. We don't actually want completely 50 to be on board at any one time. So hopefully we get half of that 67. We're in good shape. All right, now let's talk about, why did you get the email? I already mentioned that, but let's talk about some of the ongoing requirements. So that was the requirements for getting the email. The next major step, you've just been asked to join, but you're not admitted yet. So in order to get admitted, you have to attend one of these information sessions. Congratulations, you're here. Done. You have to maintain a 3.6 to the end of the semester. So at the beginning of the summer, right when the semester ends, Lewis will do a scan of your GPA and see if you still meet that criteria. And if so, then you're going to continue and you'll begin to be paired up with a mentor to do your summer research. So you have to maintain that 3.6 all the way to the end of the semester, and we'll see what your grades are when they come in. All right, and then you have to submit this application, which I'll mention. There's an application where you're going to be required to write an essay. We want to know about what your interests are, so that way we can pair you up with the correct professor. If you're interested in biology, I'm not going to pair you up with an engineering professor, right? So make sure from reading your essay what you're really interested in, and we'll do our best job to find a professor, or maybe you know a professor already that you would like to work with on a research project. And then you're going to get on board, either summer 1 or summer 2. You'll get on board, you'll sign up for an internship. It will be a paid internship. You will work 4 days a week, 4 hours per day, for 16 hours a week, Monday through Thursday, from 10 till 3, 1 hour break for lunch. That's the standard hours, but you might be on a project that requires odd hours. That's okay. You'll work that out with your mentor. But you should be putting in 16 hours per week during summer 1 or summer 2, or if you actually want, both. If the slots are available and the money is available, you can do summer 1 and summer 2 to do research. And then another biggie, you have to be active all the way through the fall semester. You can't disappear at the end of the summer to be considered. You meet this requirement, then you're considered a member of the 3SP program, a member. You're still not a scholar yet. Now, to be a scholar, you have to finish the summer internships. You have to work on these service requirements, which I'll elaborate on. You have to maintain 3.5 all the way till next spring now. So we're allowing you to drop. Because we realize as you go to the upper level STEM classes, they get more difficult. Those humanities ones were easy early on, but that physics 2 is killer. Physics 3 is a killer. You know what those courses do to people's GPA? If you have me, you know what physics 1 does to you. But anyway, you got to maintain. We'll allow you to go down a little bit to 3.5. And then be punctual and responsive to official communications. So if we send out emails and you never respond, you just get noted as one of those persons that doesn't respond to email. We're going to stop sending you email even though you're gone. So do consider email from Bergen, which is the official communication that we're going to communicate with you. Do consider it as important and not to be ignored. All right, how is this organization managed? It's managed by the professors, the mentors that are going to be doing the research projects with you. They're running the show, but there are 3 paid coordinators that split the job of overseeing things, but they're not really in charge. All major decisions are made by the mentors. But you've got a faculty research coordinator, who's Professor Sontag right here. So he'll have a few words a little later. He'll talk about his projects and his research. But he oversees the research projects and makes sure that students are paired up with the correct mentors, students are putting in their hours, things like that. And then Professor Martin, Fred Martin, who's a seismologist teacher here, and also, a geology teacher here, a meteorology teacher here, a physics teacher. He oversees the mini courses that we offer, which mini courses are offered, and who's teaching them, and where they're going to happen. And then we also have Dr. Ruth Feigenbaum, who's here, who oversees the mentoring program. So we have 2 of the 3 coordinators with us. And then their job is to meet every month with basically all the professors that are doing research with students, those mentors. And that monthly meeting, they decide on criteria for admission. So they're the ones who came up with a 3.6 GPA. They came up with the idea of the 12 credits. They're going to look at individual progress. They're going to ensure that there are internships and projects for students to work on in their first year, and also do their best to find off-campus internships or recommend students for off-campus internships in their second semester program. And then also to decide on the mini courses. And again, all faculty that are involved in research, whoever you're going to be working with, is part of that core cadre of faculty that meet every month. Here's the timetable. Takes us all the way up to your induction, if you satisfy those criteria. So we're already past this point. 192 were solicited, 67 responded. And this is a little disappointing so far. I expect this number to grow. At the same time you received the solicitation, the faculty received the solicitation. Hey, who wants to be a mentor in the 3SP program? And then we sent email to the old faculty, and only 11 out of the 18 or so that we had responded. So we're going to have to twist some arms and make them remember that they should be reading their emails again, right? So they need to be. First information session I did on Tuesday. This is today. And now you're going to get an application form. We're going to email it to you. I'm also going to email you this entire PowerPoint. So, but on Monday, March 18th, you'll have the application form. In it, you'll indicate whether you want to do the summer 1 internship or summer 2. And you'll also write a little essay about why STEM is important. That's so we really can glean what your interests are. And you should lay out in that like what kind of projects you'd be interested in working on, things like that. All right, and then summer 1 starts on Monday, May 20th. That's when your research project will start, and that will go all the way up to the week, the Thursday before the 4th of July. And it does coincide with the summer 1, academic summer 1. And the summer 2 will start July 1 for those internships. If everything goes right, you do your service, you do your mini courses, then you're going to be inducted in spring of 2020 at some date in March to be announced. All right, I want to go a little bit more detail into the elements over here. So academic elements, the research elements, and the service elements, those are the 3 core things of the STEM Student Scholars Program. So the mini courses, again, this is to enhance your education. We learned that when students transfer to 4-year colleges, they're at a disadvantage. So we'd like you to know some things. Some software, you should know how to use CAD software, although our drafting course now is including this, so that's great. MATLAB is something they use on a regular basis, and NJIT and Rutgers. I know from talking to students there, when they take their engineering mechanics class there, the professors already require them to know how to solve all their homework problems in MATLAB, and our students don't know that. So we want to make sure that you're on board. Although we have modified our computing class here for science applications, SIS 270 now includes MATLAB for that reason. So we may not have to run that many courses anymore. But we had started doing that first. Equipment use, we want to learn how to use the equipment in the machining lab, and manufacturing lab in the tech building. Professor Mark Balzaret is here. He's in charge of that manufacturing lab. We want you to learn how to cut things. How do you cut metal? How do you drill through metal? How do you build something? We don't want you to be afraid of tools. And that will be at a great advantage when you transfer and you start actually doing fabricating hardware for some research project you might do at a 4-year college or that you're going to do with us. Chemistry lab, there's some instrumentation that students usually don't get to learn how to use, and we want you to learn how to use it. So chemistry lab equipment. Another thing is communicating and writing. We want you to feel at ease when you get up and give a presentation. We want you to seem like you're professional. Seem like you're professional? Be professional. All right. And also that you write well. So we want you to be able to do technical writing. So there are many courses to that as well. And you're all going to be getting up and giving presentations on your research. That will happen at the end of the summer. We have a nice little conference. We call together everyone who did summer 1 and summer 2 internships. They give a nice little presentation. And then we have the STEM C-squared. So there'll be many opportunities for you to give presentations. The open houses, things like that. So you're always going to be called on, maybe even last minute, to go give a presentation on your research somewhere. And some of that will be on campus, and some of it might be off campus. So you've got to make sure you know how to give a talk and you know how to write. here's some of the mini courses we've offered so far. So, SolidWorks, programming, mainframes, basic machining, Professor Balzarek is here, speech coaching, MATLAB, technical writing, speech coaching, etc. You'll be required to only take 2 of these. And then, research elements. There's been a lot of research projects. You're going to have on-campus first summer, off-campus second. And what happens during the regular semester? Well, one of the problems with trying to do research in a community college is continuity. A 4-year college has students with them for 4 years. So a project can really mature over 4 years. But the problem over here is, man, it takes us like a year to get a project going. And then you get that student for another year to work on it, but then they graduate. You've got to start all over again. So continuity is a problem. You only have a 2-year window to work with a student. And that's why most community colleges don't even try to do research, because that 2-year window is too short a time to be working with the student. So we want to stop that kind of problem. Oops, what am I doing? So just to provide continuity, when the regular semester starts and you start working all your time taking classes, we want you to at least put in 1 hour a week to keep the project alive, to keep it afloat. Until the next batch of students come in, you can pass the project off to them. That way the whole project doesn't start all over again. And then we also want you to be part of the STEM Student Union Club. As I mentioned, I got involved in 2012 when that club started, and that's how we started doing projects. It wasn't an official thing. It was a club. It wasn't grant sponsored. It was students doing it out of love of wanting to do projects. And we want to make sure that organization remains vibrant, that we infuse it with your talent, and also they're going to infuse the 3SP program with their talent. You might work on a project that's already been underway for years with the STEM Club. And when you join that, we want you to join the STEM Club and be active members. When you get on a project there, don't think you're in charge because you're the 3SP person. No, there's people there that are much more knowledgeable about that project than you are. You're just a team member if you're on one of the STEM Club projects. Okay, so you should have that kind of attitude. You should try to help the STEM Club, but don't think you're in charge when you get involved in a project over there. Okay, so we do want you to be a contributing, active member of the STEM Student Union. And the president, where is he? I saw him. There you are. Kevin is here. He's the president of the STEM Club. So have you have a few words again like last time? All right, now other elements you have to do. And your mentor that you actually work with might have some other requirements, but this is kind of the standard requirements. Besides doing the research during the summer, you're going to maintain a blog, a weekly blog during the summer, documenting what you're doing. Because your mentor is only going to be working with you for 6 hours a week. You're going to be putting in 16. And they might want to see what you did for that week. So they can go to the blog, and also the grant director, Lewis, needs to look at it. Project director needs to look at it. So we want to check in on what the progress of projects are, and all we have to do then is go to your blog for that project. So every project will have its own blog. You're going to author with your group a professional quality poster and present it at the STEM C² Research Summit at Bergen. Every year, this is going to be, I think, the 6th one, every year we have a giant science fair down in the tech building. Now we've got over 350 people coming from other colleges, from high schools, and people showcase their research here. It's very, very popular, and being a 3SP scholar, you're going to be required to present the poster at that event. And there's prizes if you're like the first, second, or third. And then we also want you to do a little bit of outreach. We would like to at least give a presentation somewhere off campus about your research, and opportunities like that could arise pretty easily. There's local science fairs that go on in the high schools. It'd be nice if you can get permission to crash one of those and talk about your research. Go get a table there and talk to the students and tell them, hey, you know what, there's really cool research projects going on at Bergen. Now those kids in Ridgewood, they're all, they think they're all going to Princeton. They don't realize the value of Bergen. You need to let them learn about the value of Bergen, right? All right, what kind of projects have been done? There's too many projects that have already been done or that are already on their way for me to talk about. I'm going to let some of the professors talk about them. Here's just some of the topics. They span everything: chemistry, biology, neurology, mathematics, pure mathematics over here, manufacturing prosthetic limbs for amputees, or supercomputing, nanoparticles, building a 3D printer. You may have used a 3D printer. Have you ever built one? So we've got a group of students that actually built one. Here's the EEG brainwave studies, robotics and robotics competitions. Dr. Benjamin is here. He'll talk about that. Quantum computing, Here's a biggie. Professor Griffo is here. He's going to talk about High Altitude Balloon project that he works on. We're going to talk about how we're going to send him to space. Again, a lot to say. Now, let me just mention this. I want Louis to just mention this, to talk a little bit about this dental hygiene clinic shadowing. Some of you want to go into the medical profession, so, like the pre-med, things like that. There's going to be opportunities for you to do an internship where you're really shadowing a medical professional. You want to mention that, Louis, real quick?
Sure. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Luis Abreu. I am the Systematics Program Director, most likely the person that emailed you and let you know about this great opportunity, as well as the reminder today to show off. So good, you took the first step, the fact that you guys made it, that's awesome. In terms of this opportunity for shadowing, a lot of you who might be thinking of going into the medical field, whether it's for dentistry or going to med school, you might want to always have these shadowing opportunities in your resume. This is actually going to have a lot of value, perhaps even more than actual research. So for things like this, we have a student that in this past cohort, she wants to go into dental school. We were able to partner up with somebody from the dental hygiene program that we have here at Bergen. So that's a great thing that we have in-house. It's easy for us to set it up. Obviously, we don't have a pre-med program here at Bergen, but we're able to do those connections as well. In fact, I have 2 students that next week are going to be shadowing somebody at the New York Presbyterian Hospital. It's a surgeon. So it's a 3-day shadowing opportunity. This is very, very powerful if you guys are thinking into going into med school. So things like this can also be arranged, but this is only happening if you are part of the program. So keep that in mind if you're thinking of going into that route. Okay?
Thank you. So, yeah, other projects, we have a group that's taking a motorcycle and converting it into electric. New one is magnetic levitation, all kinds of things. So there's lots of things in terms of research. In terms of service, again, we want you to be a mentor to a student that's in an 048 class, and Professor Feigenbaum is in charge of that. Guys, you want to talk about it just very briefly? Mention that. We want you to serve as an academic mentor to an 048 or 160 student, and also part of that is to help give a presentation maybe off campus to help promote the school. Professor Feigenbaum?
I have nothing to say.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But
I have something to say. So just to go back to the service element, we know that you guys are successful students, and as Dr. Siegel mentioned before, it's not about you guys becoming tutors. We have an award-winning tutoring center here at the place. We have excellent tutors. We have great resources. You guys know these resources. So just like Dr. Siegel mentioned, some students don't even know what we have here. So please share what you know. How do you get from point A to point B? What do you do to be the successful student that you are right now? That's exactly what we want you to share with these new mentees. Okay, help them be where you are right now, hopefully in a year, maybe 2 years. Okay, that's all we want. We want you to be this big brother, big sister kind of image, and show them how they can be, even though some of them might be starting at a remedial level course, they can still make it all the way to the point that you are right now.
we'll also emphasize to them how important it is to study. Some don't even realize they should study for an exam. It's like, oh, you have an exam coming up? Okay, I kind of encourage them to actually sit down and study. All right, now let me show you this 3SP application real quick. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, so this is what you're going to get in the mail. You'll probably get a PDF version of it. Just has your contact info, your preferred contact. And then if you want to be considered for summer 1 or summer 2, if you want both, check both, but underneath it, put which one you prefer better, because again, depending on funding, we may not be able to get you for summer 1 and summer 2. So indicate both, yeah, but tell us which one you really prefer. And then you're going to vouch for the fact that you think you're going to have a GPA of 3.6 by the end of the semester. We'll check on that later on. And then you'll have, this is just to check off that you're aware of the time commitment. Well, here's the biggie: single space, 12-point Times New Roman font, single page essay answering the following question: what are your academic and career goals, and how can being a member of 3SP help you achieve these goals? And this will become due on March 18th, and I think is the day that we come back from spring break. So hopefully in the next week you're going to get this, or less than the week, you're going to get this, and you should not procrastinate on it. You're going to deliver it. Don't email it. You're going to deliver it to room S131. Print it out. Deliver it. You can put it in Professor Sontek. Professor Sontag's charge of research. You're going to put it in his mailbox in S-131. Any questions on that? All right, well, how many scholars have we had? As I said, you're the third cohort we're inviting, but the first cohort was only 12 students. Again, we want to grow the entire organization up to 50. But those are the people that were inducted in March 8, 2018, so a year ago. And you can see the fields: biology, engineering, computer science, medical informatics. So it's a diverse group of backgrounds.
We have inductive scholars sitting here in the group.
There it is. Alex Chekowitz is right here.
What are you doing now, Alex?
At Stevens, I'm going through a master's in chemistry right now, actually.
And Alex was involved in the EEG brainwave studies experiment here with Dr. DeLauro. All right. And now here's the next group. They're going to be inducted next Friday, March 8th. And you're invited to attend if you want. But you see how the group has grown in size. So now at your third cohort, we hope the next group is bigger. That's the idea, to keep on growing. So 22. And again, you can see the diverse background of students, not all engineering. Now, the professors. Again, this is, I'm going to get this updated for you before you get emailed this PowerPoint. As I said, the professors weren't very responsive. The last time we had 15, here was their contact info the first time around last summer. This is the new group. But I'm sure that some of these will move over to the new group as well. Now, this is that way you can reach out to these students if you desire. Okay, so you can reach out to these faculty if you desire. Or you can even wait till the beginning of summer, the weeks before summer, and we'll say, hey, you want to work with this professor? We read your essay, and we think it'd be good if you get on this project. So we're going to help you find the project. But if you already know who you want to reach, out to the professor, go ahead. Don't wait for us to try to get back to you. And there's some of the professors right there listed, and their background. So what I want to do now is I want to give an opportunity for the different professors that are here right now to very briefly talk about some of their research projects. So, let's see. I mentioned the electric car. Professor Sontag?
Okay.
Let's go first, right?
Hi, my name is Dr. Charles Sontag, and I'm in the biology department. I have a variety of interests, not just in biology. As you saw up on the page, it says bees. What are bees? Well, we do have beehives on campus, but that's not what my focus is going to be. I'm going to add an extra E in here. Behavior. Last summer, we had a student that was studying conflicts in bird feeders. People like birds. They put out food for birds. And then the birds and the squirrels come and fight over who wins. She was looking at that. So we had all sorts of cool studies. She put up cameras and then reviewed the cameras. Ecology. One of the other projects that we had 2 summers ago was putting up camera traps on campus and then seeing what was there. What do we see? Coyotes. Lots of deer. We even saw a buck interacting with a fawn, which is pretty cool. For those of you who know much about deer, the bucks usually don't. So what you saw in Bambi, lies, absolute lies. But this was kind of cool. We found raccoons, and we started to be able to identify the individual raccoons because they always were in groups. And we knew that the three guys were going to show up. Possums, there's a bobcat on campus. There's foxes on campus. There's a lot of cool things as things are moving back into suburbia. So ecology. Evolution. Now this one, haven't spent much time on as with the other projects, but in my ecology class, I take my students over to Sleepy Hollow every Halloween, and we read the tombstones to find data about human lives during the prior centuries. And what we find is not so much that people are living longer, but it's more that they have the average life changes. We've got some people. We've got a sailor named Dirk Storms that died in the 1700s and was born in the 1600s. He died at 108. That's pretty cool. But point is, the average lifetime is changing. I'd love to send students out to graveyards, so if there's any goths out there who want to spend your summer in the darkest graveyards around New York, New Jersey, this may be for you. Environment. I've done a whole series of projects on these. And environment is humanity's interaction with the world. So last semester we had Josh Reimer. He was doing a study on traffic in this area. We've actually had several traffic studies. Are people obeying the speed limits? What's going on at the sites where all these crashes have occurred throughout Bergen and Hudson and Essex counties? He's actually presented at last year's, along with a couple other people, last year's New Jersey Bike Walk Coalition Conference. So that was outside of campus. So also, we have a Velomobile, which, Mark, you're probably updating very, very soon. We built a 3-wheeled enclosed bicycle with an electrical assist. It's streamlined, meaning that this bike can go fast. We've gotten it up probably close to 30 miles an hour without the assist. And streamlining helps. So I also have interest in building things as well. And then finally, Systemics. This school has an excellent horticulture department and an organic garden. We've got plantings all over the place, no one knows what they are. One of our students who actually was here is going to be inducted, or was inducted, Sarah Acevedo, also went through and mapped out all of the ornamentals, all the species on campus. We've got the PowerPoint, we need to start doing something more. So, the point is this, if you're interested in behavior, if you're interested in animal work, maybe some of you want to do a study on your cats, we can do things like that. If you're interested in ecology, the local ecology, we think of this as suburbs, but there's a lot of life out there. If you're interested in evolution, maybe you want to go to the graveyard. If you're interested in environmental, we've got water chemistry projects that you could be doing. If you're interested in systemics, if you're interested in categorizing and describing life around you, we've got some projects. So come and see me. I'd love to have you on the team, and I'm looking forward to the summer.
And Professor Sante is also responsible for overseeing all the projects and making sure you're paired up with the mentor and things are going well. in that
Yep.
area. Professor Balzarate, want to say a few things about the electric bike project?
Sure.
I have it up there.
There we go.
Yes.
We've been working on the electric bike now for about, was it 2 semesters? I think we've been, so it's a fairly new project. It's going really quite well. The students that have been working on it have been doing a great job. But they're going to be moving on, and we need new people to take their place. So we've got all the equipment and most of the supplies that we need to work on it so far. And it's an exciting project. I look forward to getting someone on the team that has a motorcycle license, so I'm not the only victim when we test it. But if not, that's okay. But it's an interesting project. These kinds of projects are really good, especially for engineering students. I have a former student that is now going to graduate this May from Rutgers University, and he started with me a long time ago working on projects in the shop, and that gave him a distinct advantage when he went to Rutgers. It put him very far ahead of the other students that were in the mechanical engineering program that he's majored in. So that's something to think about. Many times manufacturing courses are not part of a standard engineering curriculum, but they are definitely worthwhile to be involved with because they really help you out. Unfortunately, a lot of young people these days don't really get to build anything when they're young. You have the generation of playing video games and using electronic devices, and you don't really make things with your hands anymore. And that's unfortunate because it's really a lot of fun. We get students in the shop that are doing welding, plasma cutting, and learning all kinds of other basic things besides those things. And everybody really enjoys it. And I work with Ron Grossinger on the electric vehicle conversion project too, where they're working on a pickup truck, electrifying that. So obviously between the motorcycle and the truck, we have a lot of crossover in terms of the research. And the research really is embodied in the testing of components and determining the distance that the bike can go, the longevity of the batteries, things of that sort. So there's a lot of electronics going on, but there's also a lot of mechanics. So if you're an electronics kind of a person, this would be a project that you'd be very interested in. If you're a mechanical kind of a person, you'd be very interested in this. But I would encourage people from a wide range of disciplines to take an interest in some of the things that we have going on within the manufacturing lab. And of course, all of you, no matter what project you're working on. Professor Griffo and I have worked on his high-altitude balloon project with students helping them to build things, helping them to solve some of their mechanical problems related to that project. So you are all welcome to the manufacturing lab anytime you want, and come by and ask me a question. I teach all the manufacturing technology courses in the program here at the school, which includes welding, machining, CNC programming, and also industrial design. So we have, of course, concepts of industrial design, which is about learning how to draw in an ID style. ID sketching is what it's called, and also in model making. But it's also about thinking about how to solve problems and using these visual tools as a way to solve those problems. And that's applicable to every discipline. So you're welcome to get in touch with me. Louis has my information, so.
And we'll have the contact information for Professor Balzaret on that official list of mentors.
And as we mentioned before as well, Professor Balzaret runs the basic machining mini course that we usually run over the summer. So it is, I think this is a critical skill for everyone to have. It's mind-boggling that we have sometimes engineers at a graduation commencement point that has never held a proper tool, power tool, welding machine. Okay, so you, screwdriver or hammer, you'll be surprised. So you guys as potential engineers not only want to be these big shots behind a desk, you want to know how everything works, you want to potentially get your hands dirty and show them how it's done. So
I'd like to call on Alex Chekowitz, since he was brave enough to come today. We don't have Dr. DeLauro here, who's in charge of the EEG project, nor do we have Professor Kay here, who's in charge of Kerkerman. I'd like you to briefly talk about the EEG project and the Kerkerman project. I got them displayed over here.
Sure, okay.
Just
So
very briefly.
the EEG project uses,
There it is.
yeah, of course, an EEG is an electroencephalogram, and that is a machine that can measure brain waves. The crux of the project is trying to relate those measurements of someone's brain to some measurable change. So yeah, there was that technique that's written up there, says infraslow fluctuation training using neurofeedback. It's a lot of detail to explain exactly what all of that would mean. But effectively, we were applying some kind of stimulus, measuring the changes in brainwaves, and trying to make conclusions about that. Then the curcumin project was with me and the other Alex and Dr. K. And that had to do with, curcumin is a molecule from turmeric. It's a spice. We extracted that molecule. We did all sorts of analysis with it, and hypothesized how we could make a curcumin complex to improve the stability of the molecule, and maybe even think about delivering it a little better, because it's rumored to have these properties like anti-inflammatory properties and all sorts of other health benefits. And I gotta say about the curcumin project that there's a lot, if you're interested in chemistry, you go pretty much run the gamut of analytical techniques, which is great from like an application standpoint. You do IR and HPLC and a bunch of other acronyms that would be good if you're interested in chemistry. So yeah, that's those processes.
Great, thank you. Dr. Bruce Benjamin is here. Dr. Benjamin is in charge of our robotics group and anthropomorphic arm. So I got that one displayed over here. Go ahead, take it away.
Okay, both projects, the anthropomorphic robotic arm and the robot competition group, require skills or offer skills in engineering and programming and 3D printing. The anthropomorphic robotic arm is going to be a functional representation of a human arm. So we're not going to be making some of the compromises that other groups make. This is going to look like an arm. It's going to have individual components that are analogous to an actual human arm. So that particular project is going to offer you the opportunity to deal with heat transfer and materials, because we're going to be using a number of different materials in order to do the simulation. As for the robotics competition, we use the VEX robotics system, and that will give you an introduction as well to CAD and simulation. And we need pilots for the robots once we create them. So it's not strictly a science activity. There's a bit of reflex and a bit of fun that's guaranteed over and above the joy of actually creating something.
Thank you. Linda Araya, you want to mention the project you're working on?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Linda. I'm the project mentor for the composting project. So some of you may have seen some students over by the Rocket. If you don't know what the Rocket is, it's this giant cylinder that's located outside of the cafeteria. And it's there because it is meant to collect food scraps and then convert that into usable soil. And I like to use the word soil, not dirt, because dirt is kind of like saying germs and they mean something. So soil is actually nutrients, fungi, and also microbes, so bacteria and other things. And so we take what used to be a slice of pizza or an old hot dog that a student didn't eat, and it turns into something that we can grow plants into. Something that we're starting to tap into, that this research has been going on since last summer, but now that everything is up and running, we've got a trusty group of students. We want to take this to the next level, and next week we're actually meeting with someone because we want to help the United States Composting Council, which is a national program where they do research with compost, because compost is very valuable. It's very profitable, especially for farmers. A lot of farmers are looking into using compost and supplementing their fields with compost, and also increasing the growth of their crops. So this is something that we're trying to look into. One of the things that we did over the last summer was we were just trying to find out who is living in our soil. So what types of microbes are living in our soil. We actually characterized everything that's living inside. We took our samples, we gave it to the team of microbiologists on the second floor, working with Dr. Jimenez, so it's not just our team alone. We actually work with the microbiology team, and even some of those students learned some techniques that they can put on their resume that look really nice. And then we sent it off to a lab, and they used very expensive technology and were able to quantify just how many of a certain type of microbe is in our soil. So we actually have a profile for it now. We have pre-cured and post, and after it's been cured, so meaning after it's come outside of the rocket. By the way, the reason why the rocket is so valuable is because it takes roughly 2 weeks to get from the mouth of the rocket to the other end. If we were doing a regular compost pile, like I'm sure a lot of you have seen, where it's just you dump things in a pile, you kind of turn it every couple months, or every couple weeks, I'm saying, and then in a couple of months you'll actually get a product. So this actually speeds things up. And so we want to just make sure that what we have is something that is good for plants, crops. Maybe we can give it to the garden in Ender Hall and do something with it. So really, there's a lot that you can do with this project. And so it's really up to you guys if you find a use for it, or if you think of something that you want to do with it, you can. We're also thinking about taking it to the next level with doing worm farming. It's called vermicomposting. So we're going to use worms and hopefully do that in the future. So that's something that we're looking towards. I'm actually not going to be the project mentor for it over the summer because I'm leaving in 2 weeks. But but somebody will take over for me, and I'm going to make sure that they know everything that we're doing. But just so you guys are aware, this is a project that exists. It's an option for you. And if you're interested in it, feel free to contact me. I'll just forward your information to whoever's going to be taking over.
We have Professor Araya's contact information right up here, so feel free to send her email. She answers her email. I want to mention Professor Scala, Professor Louis Scala, who's here. He also works on the Kirkman project. He deals with the biological aspects of it, whereas Professor Kay was dealing with the chemistry aspects of it. You want to add anything about the Kirkman at all?
Well, Alex did mention just a little bit more specifically the two areas that I work on, which is to test the effect of the different curcuminoids after they're treated with different metals to act as antimicrobial agents. They have the ability to inhibit certain bacteria, so we test different bacteria, see which are more susceptible. Then a project that we haven't started yet, but are looking into, which is to look at the effect of the metal complex curcuminoids on enzymes that mediate inflammation. So many kinds of diseases that exist today that are actually due to inflammation, and there are certain markers that are used to indicate that inflammation is ongoing. So one of the areas we'll be looking at is the effect of the different curcuminoids on inhibiting enzymes that contribute to inflammation. Thank you.
So thank you. I'm going to call on Professor Haldo. No, that's not his real name. That is his real name. I'm not going to attempt it. I need a PhD, or you got to get a PhD to pronounce that. But Dr. Haldo, Neil Haldo, is a new physics instructor here. He's going to teach physics 1, 2, and 3. He teaches all of it. He's got a few projects going on, so go ahead.
Yeah, so I will, there's 3 projects actually right now we are working on. Actually 2 projects going on. So the one is quantum computation and the quantum materials. So that project, what we're looking into is new electronic materials to replace the existing silicon and gallium, silicon and germanium mainly. So that project needs actually a lot of high-end computation. Actually, it's a difficult project to work in short-term period. Those are like long-term master's level or PhD level projects, but I short into something doable within like 2 months of period. So some part by part we're doing actually. So I have John there sitting. Actually, he completed one project. He started the project in terms of honors by contract actually last semester, and then he worked basic idea, he read the literature and then get the information, and then he done a good amount of work over the internship, and then we are presenting that actually Boston coming this following next week actually. So that project will give you more idea about the quantum chemistry, high end of the computation, supercomputing powers, and the lot of math on top of that, and mainly about the quantum mechanics. So if anybody interested going into a theoretical side of physics or engineering, that will be a good project. That there's no hands-on experience. If you are a hands-on person, that is not the good project for you. That's need really high-end thinking, critical thinking, math, computation, and quantum mechanics. So if anybody interested, you are welcome to contact me. Even the theoretical chemistry, if you are a chemistry person but going into a theoretical side, it will be a good fit. So that is one. And the other one is actually the magnetic levitation. So that's a hands-on experience. So that project we just actually planning. Nothing been done yet. So magnetic levitation is actually, I think some of you familiar. So we can levitate object by using the magnetic field. There's a couple of different ways we can do that. The most successful method is, if you heard the bullet train, which is successful. So that is actually use a superconducting levitation. So you take a magnet and then take a superconductor. Superconductor means resistance is 0. So you cool down the material. There are particular material can superconduct, resistance becomes 0 when you cool down enough. When it cool down, you take a magnet and put top of that, so all the magnetic field go around the superconductor, so the magnet can levitate top of the superconductor very easily. So that's how the bullet train works. So it's a lot of high-end engineering and then the application and top of the physics. So that we are on planning. So actually it's a good project to work with if you are a hands-on engineering type person, and also the physics. So you have to be really good in physics. If you know physics little bit, electromagnetism, physics 2 level, that will be a good help. Even not, you can actually start with. So,
Excellent. Thank you.
yeah.
I'd like to call Professor Paul Griffo up. He's one of my fellow GPA wreckers. He's going to talk about the high-altitude balloon project. So take it away, my friend. We're just going to give you a limited amount of time.
Yes,
All right, so before we start this, I want to piggyback on what Dr. Haldo mentioned. This is one of the perks of being part of a research project. You could be traveling across the state. You know, it could be going to as far as Missouri. We have, I believe Kevin is the only one that went to that trip from this group, but we had a group of 19, well, aside from the faculty. And we have a group of 19 students that went to Jefferson City, Missouri to observe the solar eclipse. Alex, you didn't go to that one, right? Okay. But we do have other trips, funny enough that he mentioned, on Sunday, Jean-Pierre, along with David, and of course, Dr. Haldo, are going to Boston to present at this conference. Having this on your resume, guys, is probably going to be one of the most powerful things that you can have in there, aside from your academics, of course. So again, the fact that you will be able to travel across the country to different conferences and present a research project, these nationally recognized conferences, is going to be very, very powerful. So if this is not appealing enough to you, but the trip is, then maybe this is something for you guys to consider.
So my project is a high altitude balloon project. We've launched 3 balloons in the last 4 years. 2 years ago, we went to Missouri. We flew a balloon during the eclipse. We tried to take pictures of the sun during the eclipse. Unfortunately, our cameras failed, but we had a great time anyhow. Last summer, we began a new phase of the project. We'd like to capture meteor dust, and so I'll talk a little bit more about that. We use SolidWorks to build some apparatus for us that will be controlled by software inside of a processor that's taking data from about a half a dozen different experiments, plus opening and closing a door to a big Petri dish full of gooey stuff that we can capture meteor dust. My goal, my hope, is that we fly it twice this summer. Luis doesn't know that yet. Maybe right after graduation, because there's a big meteor shower then, and then in August there's another big meteor shower. And if we capture meteor dust, I'm sure we'll be able to get a paper published and have a good publication for that. So, my project, to go where most people have never gone before, to the lower stratosphere, 100,000 feet above the surface of the Earth. So, this is our team 3 years ago. We worked on the balloon project. Here's our balloon. Here it is taking off. We have a parachute. We've got an experiment box. One of our students took this picture during the eclipse when we were in Missouri 2 years ago. So this is the high altitude by the balloon. The things that we're doing is we're using SolidWorks to design and build the hardware that we need to fly, to do our experiments. Circuit design and building, we need people who are good at that. We need people who are interested in photography because we're always flying cameras. Microprocessor software design, coding, and integration with the hardware and checkout. And then really concentrating on the software that collects the data, reduces it, and analyzes it. Could we turn the lights on just a little bit? So we made this film a couple of years ago. This plane. I just want to say one thing. We fly from a place in Pennsylvania. But you'll see pictures of the hardware and the software that the students who are working on the project developed. You'll see the balloon flying. You'll hear one of our experiments, and the balloon actually pops, and you'll see when it pops. You'll know exactly what's going on. So this is our team. That's everybody who came on the trip. We're putting the box together. Higher you go, there's less air. Can't hear it. That's pressure as we went up and came down. Inflating the balloon very carefully. It's a process. Here it goes. That's the balloon when we launched it, just before it burst, how big it got. Here we go, we just launched it. Hit fire. We'll just pop it. the High Altitude Balloon Project. It's more than a project. It's an adventure. Come and join it. Have some fun. Thank you. Oh, I should say, one of my students who worked on that project left here as an engineering major, went to Rutgers as a physics major, and next week she's presenting her physics research at Rutgers at the American Physical Society meeting. She learned a lot of stuff about presenting here. And 3 of my students and I and Dr. Martin went to the American Geophysical Union meeting in December, where we presented a poster about our work. And they ranked very high, fairly high considering, in the ranking of about 3,000 posters. So we had a chance to do a lot of fun. And we got some good food out of it, too.
I want to play for you another video. I'm going to play for a video by Professor Al-Hussein, who designs 3D printed prosthetic limbs for kids. That's his project. So I'm going to play this video.
Hi, my name is Kassim Hussein. I work here with the STEM department for Community College, and I mentor Project Enable. So in Project Enable, what we try to do is change your everyday normal prosthetic hand, usually what's called a hook design, such as this one. So the way this one specifically works is that they would have to put this around their arm and pull with their neck in order to grab something. So that's pretty bad for your neck, and as well as your arm, because it does give you a rash. It's pretty hard, as you move along, it constantly keeps on rubbing against your skin. So what we do here is we built what looks like these guys. It functions mechanically, so there's no batteries, there's nothing required. All you have to do is move your arm about 10 degrees or so, and that allows the hand to open and close. That's what we're trying to do. And the way we accomplish this is we walk through a series of skills that you will be learning. You will be learning a lot about computer-aided design, how to design this hand, how to modify this hand. So that hand will adjust our CAD model around this hand. And from there, you'll take it to modify it, adjust it, add custom stuff. You don't want to add your initials or whatnot, then we 3D print it. After 3D printing, we can post-process it, so add some cool stuff, add some grip to it, and so on. So a lot of the skills you'll be learning here is computer-aided design, 3D printing post-processing, and you can apply this to not just Project Enable or prosthetics. You can apply it for anything you want to prototype at home. The sky is the limit where you can design whatever you need and then make it happen within a day. You'll have a fully functional prototype of whatever you want to apply. So that's Project Enable in a couple minutes. Thank you.
I want to show you another video. And this concerns the electric car conversion. We've got a pickup truck. So students have been working on for a few years. They ripped out the gasoline engine. They're retrofitting it and making it all electric.
I'm Mr. G, and we're here at Berkeley Community College. This is the electric vehicle conversion kit. All right, so as you know, this is one of the trucks, a work truck. We started with a big V8 engine. We took it all apart. We actually took some of the components off of there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to replace where the engine used to be right here with a motor like this. This is the electric motor. It's an AC motor. Here's our motor mounts. This is our adapter plate. We design all these components. We actually have a coupler that connects the drive shaft over to the transmission. Okay, so are the wheels turning? Yeah?
Yeah.
Moving? Good. Alright. Okay, wheels are moving! Woo! What drives that motor is going to be a speed controller and some circuitry that safety controls, a charger. This is the same input that you would have on like a Nissan Leaf. This is called the J1772 charger inlet, and we have batteries down below right here. Okay, so it's basically the same setup as a Tesla. The only difference is that Tesla is a ground-up construction vehicle, and this is a conversion. We take the gasoline engine out, we put in an electric motor, we manufacture, machining, welding, and we design all our brackets and all our components. And then what Tesla does is they don't use another vehicle, they actually go ground up, all right? So a lot of work to be done, similar skill set, so if you do something like with us, you probably could maybe get an internship or work for Tesla in the future or another car company that's doing something like that. So if you're interested, you text us or you can email us, and here is the information right here. Okay, thanks a lot for tuning in.
I'd like Kevin. Kevin is the president of the STEM Club here. He also works on that electric conversion project. Just say a few words about the STEM Club and also the project.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I'm glad you guys are able to make it tonight. So, I want to talk about, in the beginning, the STEM Club, what it's done for me. This is actually my 4th semester here at Berkeley College, and I came here with no idea what major to choose, right? I'll be just be upfront about that. And then, what made me choose to be a STEM major, right? Well, why not try something new, right? Something out of my comfort zone. So that's what I did. And originally, when I joined the electric vehicle conversion, I had no mechanical background, like I said, no STEM interest, whatever, but here's something new that I could do, right? And Melvis is a fellow member as well. So, but I want to mention that because when I joined, right, you know, like I said, you kind of get your hands dirty, you go in, and one way or another, you know, it wasn't a lose-lose for me because at the end of the day, I tried something new, and whether it turned out good or not on my end, I got to learn something new and new skills, like Professor Mazzaret said, that we don't have a chance to build or use our hands or, you know, most of the things now is technology, like I get it, but here and there, try something new, why not? So that's what I did. And still running it today as well. Ron Grossinger is actually my mentor. He's actually the guy overseeing the project itself. And he's a very energetic person, very motivational, and encouraging. Besides that, I do want to mention that overall, regardless of what project you choose, you know, go for it. You have nothing to lose but experience. And experience is, you know, it's worth knowing because, like I said, going back to what I said, is you're getting out of your comfort zone. So try something new, regardless of what it is. So going back to Mark Lazarette and Lewis and Professor Seal, there are resources here in the school that we have. And it's sad to say most people aren't utilizing them, so why not be us, you know? And take advantage of that, because going back to Professor Griffo, I was part of the High Altitude Balloon Project as well, and it was an opportunity for me to go to Missouri. I saw the eclipse, I saw the whole experience, how it went down, and how project involvement, and you know, it's something that it's memorable for me, because I'm gonna live with that. And like I said, regardless of what you like doing, what you like, just give it a shot. You have nothing to lose. That's my message. Thank you.
All right, now, you guys are really lucky. You're going to be really spoiled. As you know, a health professions building was built on campus, brand new building for the health professions, nursing, and things like that. And when they did that, that opened up the former dental hygiene wing on the 3rd floor of the S building. And the president of the college and the vice president recommended that the 3SP program get that room to renovate. So, was that? Recommended.
Fought for that place.
We fought for it, and they recommended the board of trustees to actually do it, right? So they twisted some arms too. So, but that's the dental hygiene room now, as it was originally. You could have your teeth cleaned up there if you wanted for free. It would take like 6 or 7 hours, but you know. All that stuff is being ripped out. This is what it looks like now. Lewis took these pictures last week or so. A lot of the claustrophobic ceilings are being removed. You're going to get cloud ceilings, which don't have complete drop ceilings. There's opening, so you can see the real ceiling, and that gives you a more spacious vertical sensation. And then a lot of these walls on the right have been knocked out. A lot of the partitions have been knocked out. You're going to have different projects going on at each of these cubicles. Here's another view of the same thing. You can see how it looks. This is what it looks like now. And then here's from the other end. On the far end of this former dental hygiene room is going to be a classroom. It'll be enclosed in glass, and we're going to run our mini courses there. One of the problems with running our mini courses during the regular semester, we usually run them in the summer. One of the problems running them during regular semesters, we can't find vacant classrooms. So classrooms are a premium. You can't sort of kick a regular class out so you can have a mini class. You have to justify that when I charge your tuition, so they really don't want us to waste classroom space. we finally have our own classroom that we're building as part of this structure. And we would never have to worry about reserving rooms. We can use that classroom to run as many mini courses as we want, whenever we want, not just in the summer, and not just during winter. Here's another view looking at it. So again, very, very spacious. There's going to be a maker space there. Here's the original layout of what it was going to look like, but things have changed a little bit. The bathrooms have been red. No one needs to go to the bathroom because they're working on their projects, so we got rid of that. And then we made the classroom a lot bigger over here. This 3D printing area is actually over here. It's now a maker space over here. Laser cutters, 3D printing, machining. There'll be a robotics drone area here. This area has all been knocked out, and there's a conference room, but again, walled in with glass. The idea is to make things not look closed in, to make things look very spacious. Here's the actual blueprints of what it's going to look like. You can see the classroom's a lot bigger on this end. And here's all space for laboratory experiments, including robotics. And it connects to an office where Dean Ricardo will be. There'll be windows here, so things can always be supervised when students are working. Here's that conference room, glass wall here, so you can see what's going on. There'll be a beautiful glass entrance from the hallway, so you can see the robotics projects and other projects that are going on. And then here's the classroom. This entire wall is glass here as well. And to keep an open, inviting, modern research facility. It doesn't exist that you have research facilities dedicated for student work at the community college level. Want to say a few words about that?
Well, again, you guys are very lucky. You'll be the first cohort to actually be fully exposed to this facility. We're hoping to get this completed in about a month, month and a half, hopefully 2 months, no more than 2 months. Therefore, this summer, you'll have full access to the place and you'll be able to conduct your research at this state-of-the-art facility. Equipment, anything that you can imagine will be there. 3D printers, laser cutters, circuit board printers, anything that you can imagine will be there. So, whatever you need to take your idea into fruition will be there. So this will happen. As Dr. Siebel mentioned, we will be the first community college in the nation to have a STEM research center. There's going to be a lot of attention looking in this direction. Okay, there's going to be a lot of press. There's going to be politicians try to get credit for all the work that we did, of course. So be in the lookout that you will be part of that press release. There's going to be, perhaps, TV channels and newspapers coming over here, and you'll have a little bit of that exposure. So, very lucky from your end.
Thank you. 2 events that are upcoming that we want to invite you to. We're going to have an induction ceremony next Friday for that second cohort, 22 students that I mentioned. You're invited to attend it. You're not going to be inducted, but you can come and watch what's going on. We also have a great guest speaker, a former member of the 3SP program and STEM Club who will be speaking. And also another biggie that you should come to is the 7C Squared Research Summit. That's going to be in May. And that's where all the students who worked on projects, both in the STEM Club and in the 3SP program, get to showcase their research alongside of high schools and other colleges and industry. It's a great time to meet other people and other students who are doing research in the area. And we draw now regularly over 350 students and people to this conference, so it's quite reputable for this northern New Jersey area.
All right, so I want to be mindful of everyone's time. This was supposed to be scheduled for an hour, but that's what happens when you give the floor to professors. They talk. So the first event, the induction ceremony, that's going to happen next Friday. You all receive an invitation. It's more like an RSVP. I need to know whether you guys are coming to this event or not. As Dr. Siebel mentioned, you're not being inducted. You're going to see what's going to happen hopefully next year. That'll be you standing there receiving those certificates in court. Okay, so this is a good opportunity for you guys to be there. By all means, I invite you to do so, but you have to let me know. So I'm going to be sending you that RSVP form today. You have probably until either Sunday or Monday to let me know. I need a head count. I need to know if I need a bigger room, so that's the main reason behind it. You don't let me know, you show up last minute, I might have to leave you by the door. Okay? It is at 5 p.m. Okay, it's 1 hour, 5 p.m. to 6:30. So again, I'm going to be sending that invitation. It has all the information, location, anything that you need to know to make it to the induction ceremony. The next thing, as Dr. Siebel mentioned, is the STEM C-Square Research Summit. It's the Tuesday right after class ends, May 14th. Hopefully all of your schedules have cleared by then. Every single student that's working on research at Bergen is required to present a poster. Okay, even if, I don't know if I want you to do that. I want you to be exposed to perhaps your first conference presentation. It's a poster competition. You might even be walking out of there with extra money just by getting the price. Okay, so this is a great opportunity for you guys. Again, if you get involved in 3XP and you start doing research, even if you're not part of 3XP and you're still doing research, you will be part of these posters competition. Okay. Questions, comments?
Any
concerns?
questions and comments from you?
Is that clear? Or are you just gonna get out of here? One of those things.
We all good?
Okay, so we're good about the next step from here. You're all gonna receive, number one, the RSVP that I need you guys to tell me whether you're coming to the induction ceremony next Friday. Okay, that's almost like optional. The next thing that is a requirement for you guys is that application. We need that application back the Monday after spring break, I believe.
It'll be turned in.
Okay, but you're going to receive it very soon. Dr. Steele and I, we still have to do some modifications to the form, but you will be receiving the form very soon. As soon as you get it, the main part of that application, aside from your information, of course, is that essay. We need to know your interests. That way we know who to pair you with. We want to make sure that you get the most out of these research opportunities. Okay, so please make sure, don't take that for granted. Don't just do some random essay. Put some effort, put some thought in there, and give us what your real interest is. You'll see what the questions are within the application. Yes?
So we're not really going to be doing like research or anything until like this summer?
Correct. Correct.
When you're free. When the courses are over, your grades are in.
Correct. And I don't know if you noticed that during the regular semesters, fall and spring semester, the only time commitment is mainly 1 hour for research. So we just want you to keep the project going. We want you to prioritize your academics. That is your priority number one. I want to make sure that you guys don't jeopardize your high GPAs because you're doing this. Yes, I do want you to work with some of your mentees, but this is something that you might be able to do, I don't know, every 2 or 3 weeks, if any. Okay, so the time commitment during the regular semester is very small. Okay. During the summer and winter, it's a whole different story, especially during the summer. I don't know if Dr. Siegel mentioned, you have a 16-hour-a-week commitment for the summer, okay? I'll talk about the details later once, you guys make it through the process, but, it's a paid internship, 16 hours. You have to treat it as an employment because it is employment for you. So we have to go through the paperwork and all that. But we'll talk about it once we get there. I saw another hand up. Yes?
You're also going to send us this PowerPoint?
Yes.
We have to update the list of research faculty mentors, and we'll get that to you in a week or so.
Are you going to take summer courses while we're doing the internship?
It has been done in the past. I mean, it's a bit challenging. You have to be able to juggle your academics with the internship. You can do what we call a reduced load, which means that instead of doing summer 1 and summer 2, you'll have to do summer U, maybe in the morning block or the afternoon block. That way you can alternate with your courses, whatever you take it in the summer. We had a student that she took 2 courses over the summer and also did internship. She actually did pretty well, so it's doable. But you know your limitations.
It's also going to depend on your mentor. Your mentor might have like flexible hours.
Correct.
Your mentor may only require you to be coming in. Might be doing collecting data at night. So.
We have students that work full time and they can only dedicate maybe 1 day of the week to do the internship over the summer. If you have a full-time job, I don't want you to get out of that because you're going to be doing this internship. So this student, what he used to do is he used to take Thursdays off from his regular job and be here 8 hours throughout the entire summer. So 8 hours a day throughout the entire summer will make up for those 16 hours that you're supposed to be doing during the week. It all depends on your mentor's availability as well, obviously, a case by case. Yeah. Any other question? I saw a hand somewhere now.
Where are we turning the application in?
It is listed there. I believe it's Monday.
No, where? Like what location?
Oh, where? It's also listed there. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
S131, right behind this door.
At the physical science department office. Down the hall.
Just make sure you read the details there, guys. Instructions are crucial. Crucial there. Okay, so make sure you read all the instructions and details in there. There's a very specific way that you write that report as well.
12 point, Times New Roman font.
That could be a weeding out. That could be a weeding out process. So.
That's all weeding out.
If you don't know how to follow instructions, maybe we don't want you there. So
you do wingding fonts, I don't want you. You have 2-inch margins, I don't want you. You go 1.5 pages, I don't want you. You gotta follow the instructions. It's all weeding out. It's all weeding out to get you to that summer 1 day.
Any other questions? Good to go? All right, you all have my email. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, just shoot me an email. Thank you for coming, guys.
Thank you very much.